Hello, everyone. I'm Trish Barbado, and I am so delighted to be here. Today, we are going to talk about courage in everyday life. Courage is such a fantastic word. It's really powerful and strong, and maybe it started here in our childhood when we watched our favorite superhero save the earth from destruction time and time again. We learned to associate certain qualities with the word courage. Qualities like strength, wisdom, bravery, and the profound desire to help others. These are the qualities that we learned to admire as a child. Well, a little kryptonite didn't hurt either. As an adult, we were exposed to the courageous acts of other kinds of heroes, people who cared about the world, about bringing peace and freedom. They too have the same attributes that we learned to admire as a child. Well, if our understanding of courage comes from superheroes and world leaders, it is really easy to think that strength, wisdom, bravery are not part of our everyday life. It's easy to disconnect from this powerful, fantastic word, courage. But courage is not just for superheroes and world leaders. Today we're going to talk about 3 little secrets about courage that we can bring in to our ordinary lives. Your ordinary life, my ordinary life. And it is good to remind ourselves that we have a huge reservoir of courage inside us. Courage is innately part of who we are. Courage is not a limited resource. Indeed, courage is an unlimited, renewable resource. We can access it anytime. We just have to say, yes, I am courage. This is my mom, Maria. She's on a ship with my dad and my 2 younger sisters and me. On this day, she waved goodbye to her parents, to her friends, to her family, and every support system that she knew. She left her beautiful Mediterranean country. She landed in a small town in Canada. She couldn't speak English. She didn't know anyone, and she had 3 small children to take care of. Oh, and the thing she remembers most, it was really, really cold. When I was a little girl, I would catch my mom crying, and I would ask her what was wrong, and the answer was always the same. I was cutting onions. Well, there were no onions. She was crying for her homeland. She was crying for everyone and everything she had left behind. My mom is like millions of immigrants all over the world who move and set foot on new soil. Their reasons for coming are universally the same. They come for a new life. They come for better opportunities for their children. My mom wanted her kids to grow up, get jobs, be good citizens. She made a huge sacrifice. This is the first thing I learned about courage. Courage requires you to see beyond yourself. It requires you to have a bigger vision in mind. It requires you to persevere. My mom persevered for years. Nelson Mandela, who we saw earlier, was in jail for 27 years of his life. Aung San Suu Kyi was under house arrest for 15 years. We will probably never, thank goodness, be asked to make that kind of sacrifice in our lives. But in our everyday life, we are asked to persevere. At work, we may have colleagues who we don't get along with too well, but we have common goals that we need to achieve, so we persevere. We might persevere through the teenage years of our children. We might persevere through a rough patch with our spouse. I read this great definition of perseverance. Perseverance is the continued state of grace leading finally to a state of glory. A continued state of grace leading to a state of glory. My mom watched her 6 kids grow up to be good citizens. Generally, good citizens. 6 kids with university degrees, good jobs, and happy lives. My mom has indeed reached her state of glory. Now, many of you, unlike me, will recognize this person, a famous sports quarterback, Peyton Manning. And again, I don't know anything about sports, but I was really enthralled by the story of Peyton Manning. He was released by his team, the Colts, and we're going to watch just a short video of Peyton Manning.
You know, this is a relationship business with coaches, teammates, support staff. You know, Colts have we got the greatest equipment guys, you know, in the world, and you know, I think about those type of relationships, and you know, the not necessarily always on the field and the touchdown throw to win the game. It's the behind the scenes, the laughs, the stories, the time spent together. Those are the memories, and those aren't going away. Those will be with me for the rest of my life. So there's so many. I certainly can't pick one. I just know I've been very fortunate, very blessed, and I'm truly appreciative and thankful.
Peyton Manning was at a press conference where he was being basically fired by a team that he was so passionate about. And in this press conference, all he did pretty much the entire time was thank people. He thanked the equipment handlers. The equipment handlers. Now, I don't know a lot about sports, but I am pretty sure that there are not a lot of athletes making millions of dollars a year that thank their equipment handlers. This is the second thing I learned about courage. Courageous people are fanatically grateful. They thank and appreciate everyone around them. They know that that does not take anything away from them. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It uplifts the entire situation. Peyton Manning may be a superhero on the football field. That is not why I admire him. I admire him for his ordinary courage off the football field. I admire him for having the courage to be grateful. And who couldn't use more gratitude? I would like you to raise your hand right now if you feel like you get too many thank yous. You are too appreciated by everyone in your life. Too many people tell you how great you are. Anybody? I actually can't see that well, but I'm assuming that there are no hands up. Is that right? No hands up. Yeah. Guess what? There is a lot of room for gratitude in our life. When we are grateful, it means that we can see and hear another person, and we're less fixated on ourselves. It changes the whole atmosphere and brings a sense of appreciation and joy. So I have a question for you. Who are your equipment handlers? Who are the people that support you in small and big ways? And more importantly, have you thanked your equipment handlers lately? This is my Uncle Chris. When I was growing up, I was in total awe of this man. Strongest person I have ever met in my life. A real life Superman. At the age of 60, cancer invaded his body. And the cancer was caused by the asbestos and toxins that he had breathed in and day out during his work at a foundry in the petrochemical town where I grew up. He had every right to be bitter, to be resentful, to be angry. He did not choose any of these. He chose to fight his cancer with grace and dignity. He chose to spend as much time as possible with his family. A few months ago, when the cancer and the pain was lodged in every internal organ, he would postpone his very potent pain medication until after he had read a bedtime story to his 2-year-old grandson. He wanted to be as alert as possible for that very sacred, very precious time. This is the third thing I learned about courage, and maybe the most important. Courage is a choice. Courage is your choice. Courage is my choice. It's our choice. The word courage comes from the old French word courage, which comes from the Latin root cor, which means heart. Heart. Courage is rooted in the heart. That is where it gets its strength and its power, from here, not here. My uncle's courage was rooted in his love for his grandson. Nelson Mandela said that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face our fears. We all have fears. We have practical fears about our health, our families, our jobs, and we have deep-rooted fears. Fear of losing control, fear of being judged, fear of change, fear of not being liked. But what we can do is we can look our fear right in the eye and say, okay, let's be friends. We can all fit in here. My uncle was afraid to die, but he chose to stay open-hearted. He chose courage to his very last breath. So let's remember what we learned in this little talk about courage. Courage is perseverance. Courage is gratitude. And courage is a choice. All we have to do is dig into that reservoir and find our courage. Every day, ordinary courage will strengthen your family. Everyday courage will strengthen your workplace. Everyday courage will strengthen your community. Everyday courage can change the world. So I think we should all get in touch with our courage. What do you say? Stand up, everybody. Stand up. Come on, I know you need to stand up. Little stretch. Here we go. Up. All right. So I want you to be in touch with your heart. I want you to be in touch with your own superhero. I want you to find your reservoir of courage, and we are going to say together, I am courage. In 3, 2, 1. I am courage. What about adding a little kryptonite, and we're going to do it again. Ready? I am courage. Yes, you are. You are courage. You are courage every day. You are courage every day of your life. Always remember that.